But there's a lot of stuff of us doing things solo. And we were in Los Angeles, so people would go home at night. And it was over kind of a period of time. But the second film, we all went to Sydney and recorded all of it together. And that was so much more immersive. It really felt like we were in it every day making this thing together in a way that sometimes VO, you can feel a little isolated. So that was really, really special. And to be in Sydney, which is such a beautiful place, with all of those guys, and then to spend time with Robin in that way. And, you know, a lot of those dudes were comedians, right? So at night, occasionally, some of these guys would go and do like stand-up sets. And there was a couple of them that had organized with a local club to do some sets. So we were invited as a group to kind of go out and watch them get up on stage. And so Robin came, and all of us came in support of, I think, like 2 or 3 of them. I now can't remember their names. But anyway, we're sitting there, and as each guy goes up and does a set, I could just see Robin, like, getting more and more antsy, like, oh, fuck. Like, oh, shit, he's gonna go up. I could just feel it, and then all of a sudden, he, like, couldn't contain himself. And he like got on stage, and we all got to watch like a 15-minute Robin Williams set. It was a gift, total gift. Yeah, getting to spend time with him and work with him. He was a really generous, kind, beautiful human being, and you know, we miss him. Yeah.
So I'm a massive Marvel fan, and I wanted to know if you could tell us a little bit about Tabitha and a little bit about your new movie coming out, Target Adventures.
I couldn't understand.
Can you repeat that? Because we can't hear you.
It's the problem with a lot of the audience.
Yeah.
It's me.
So you did a movie, it was a horror movie coming out, it did Orchid. Target Adventures? Yeah.
We can't
The
understand.
problem is that the speakers are going that way, so it's actually quite difficult to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to come up, I'm so sorry. It's like listening to me
It's about
voices.
the movie Toxic Avenger.
Una película reciente que está haciendo.
¿Eso es lo que está hablando?
Ajá, una película que hizo ahora.
Sorry. Yeah, so I was asking about Toxic Avenger.
Oh, Toxic Avenger. Oh, there you go.
The long-delayed Toxic Avenger. So, my friend Megan Blair, who's an incredible actor and writer and director, we worked together on this movie called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. If you've not seen it, it's on Netflix, it's great. And so his second feature is an adaptation or a remake of Toxic Avenger, the Trauma movie. And it's totally crazy and gonzo and fucking absurd and really funny. And I play kind of a hunchback, like evil assistant to Kevin Bacon. Well, and I think Kevin Bacon's like deformed brother is the actual reality of it. Kevin Bacon's amazing. He's the villain in the movie. It's crazy, man. It's finally coming out in August. And I can't. It's such a great. Definitely go see it in a cinema if you can. It's very much a communal cinema experience. Just you want to see it with a lot of people and laugh out loud. I've seen it twice with a big audience, and it's so much fun. It's really ridiculous. I love it, and I'm thrilled that it finally is finding distribution. Because for the longest time, it was just looking for a home, and it finally has found one. So yeah,
That's
it's dope.
awesome.
It's gonna be great.
Speaking of like crazy stuff, I know I love Wilfred. I love that show.
Oh my god, that show.
I know there were talks of maybe like making like a goodbye film. Have there any updates about that?
No, I don't think so. I think I know. Wilfred is really special. Yeah, I mean, we had so much fun making that over the course of the 4 years that we did. It was almost the exact same crew the whole time. So it always felt like this family reunion every year. We'd get together and just like have a laugh. Yeah, we were really grateful that we got to make that weird show. It's awesome.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you for coming to our event. I was just gonna ask about your experience on the miniseries Treasure Island.
Oh, yeah.
As in, how was your experience with that?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, Treasure Island. So I think we shot that in 2011. It's crazy how long it's been. So that was my first time to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. It was super fun. Had to work on, an adaptation of that piece of literature was really cool. To play that character was really fun. And very different from anything I'd done before. Sort of wild, mad, rambling guy and who'd kind of gone crazy. Eddie Izzard was really fun to work with. Yeah, that movie, I mean, it was a TV series, it was sort of like a 3-part adaptation for Sky TV in the UK. And I got to come and kind of do a fun, mad role. It was a blast. Yeah, it was cool. And it was, again, my introduction to Puerto Rico, which was really lovely. I loved being here. I loved walking around Old San Juan. Very, very fond memories. Eating mofongo for the first time.
I have a really good friend. She's here in the audience. I'm not gonna name her because I have a really good friend who's here in the audience. She's a huge fan. I'm not gonna name her because she will murder me. But she reminded me that you're a big fan of sandwiches.
I do like a sandwich.
And did you try the Puerto Rican sandwiches when you were here doing Treasure Island?
I don't think so.
So there's a sandwich called tripleta. You need to, right? Am I right? It's like 3 meats. You need to try it before you leave.
3 meats.
Yeah.
Okay, did you say picante?
More meat.
More meat.
Hello. Hi, my name is Peter Eater. So weird. So I love your roles in horror, and Yeko is so weird. I was wondering what movie impacted you as a child? Want to be more involved in horror now?
What movie impacted me as a child? I mean, I think I was, 44, so I grew up in child of the 80s and 90s. All of the big Hallmark kind of blockbusters from the 70s and 80s were huge for me. The Goonies. Also, Gremlins was really big for me. So yeah, the Joe Dante movies. Indiana Jones, Star Wars. Star Wars was huge. Again, with my older brother, he had been like collecting the toys from when he was a kid, so I was around all of that ephemera. So those initial kind of big, E.T. too, when I was a kid. So yeah, it's like the kind of big blockbuster classics that I think had the biggest impact on me in my early life. And then, the older I got, the more I was exposed to all kinds of cinema. And I think I really credit my mom, actually, with initially exposing me to international cinema. Because my mom had this fascination with wanting to watch French movies. So she was like renting French movies. And, we were watching these kind of French classics. And it sort of broke that seal. Because, I think at a certain point, you either are annoyed by subtitles or you're like are into it, and I was like into it really quickly, which was great. And that sort of opened up this whole world to me. So that, like, my mid-teens and early, well, yeah, mid to late teens were like big for expanding my mind and going to the video store and just renting crazy movies and seeing wild shit. That has completely, still to this day, had an impact on who I am.
You're known for playing video games, a lot of video games. Is there any games you like? What are your favorite video games, and are you playing any right now?
I'm not playing anything at the moment. I have 2 kids, so it's really hard to parse out time to play games. But the last game I played was playing Dredge on my Switch, which I was really enjoying. Dredge is cool. But growing up, I mean, some of my favorite games were that period in the mid to late 90s where LucasArts were making all these really amazing adventure games like, Curse of Monkey Island, Full Throttle, Maniac Mansion 2, Day of the Tentacle, Sam and Max Hit the Road, like all of those great, really cleverly written adventure games I was obsessed with. I had them all. Grim Fandango.
Best game ever.
Yeah. See, and so for me, it's so funny because, Double Fine, which is a company made by Tim Schafer. Tim came from LucasArts. He made a lot of those games. I was such a fan. When they were doing the initial Kickstarter for Broken Age, basically their like return to adventure games, I was like, oh shit, they're gonna make another adventure game. This is awesome. And then I got to do a voice for it, which was like, what kind of dream come true is this? Like, if you told my, 12-year-old self that I was gonna be in a Tim Schafer game, oh man, that's so cool. So awesome.
Are you still playing Animal Crossing?
Nah, not anymore. I haven't played it in a while.
Right,
It was a very specific time where our son was really young, and my wife and I had a ton of time because it was mid-COVID, so we were just like gaming like crazy on that. And then time suddenly came back and we had to get back to reality. I had to get off the island.
All right, first of all, I want to say thank you for blessing us with your presence. I understand you're a food enthusiast, so my question is going to be along that line.
What was that?
Sorry, am I too close?
A little bit.
Okay, so I understand you're a food enthusiast.
A foodie?
A foodie, yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is going to be along that line.
Oh, I missed that
Okay.
part too.
It's all right. The question is this. We know that in the world of Middle-earth, there are elves, dwarves, hobbits. What do you think the real-life favorite street food would be?
The real life what?
Street food. Favorite street food.
The real life street food for elves and...
Oh,
That's a really cool question.
that is a cool question. All right, hold on, let me think.
Ay, que se lleven al muchacho.
At least hobbits, you should be able to answer
I
that.
Oh, wow. I feel like Hobbits, it's gonna be some like meatballs or something. It's gonna be
Something hearty.
something hearty, yeah, like stew or. And then with dwarves, oh man, what's a good like Jurassic Park turkey leg? Yeah, turkey leg. That works. That works. I'm trying to think of something really refined for elves. Like.
Probably bow bones.
Love all the suggestions. What about like Vietnamese banh mi or something?
Yeah.
Or like glass noodles or
Yes.
so it's something Asian, Asian and really refined. And then for men, could be
Mofongo.
mofongo. There you go. It's a good question.
Hi there. Firstly, I'll admit very starstruck,
Don't be nervous.
and there's a lot of echo. So my question, and I kind of stumbled when we took the picture. I was just like, hi, bye, sorry. Like, so my question is, as an upcoming director, and in yourself as an actor and being around sets, like all kinds of sets, what would be a good advice for a new director?
Good advice for a new director.
New director, yeah, as an actor, or what would be a big stone?
In terms of working with actors, or
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Or a big no, or like something that you shouldn't.
Yeah, I think there's so many different ways to do it, you know. And I think the thing about directors is everyone kind of brings their own themselves to the process. And I don't. And in terms of working with actors, I think just communicating and like being able to articulate what it is that what your vision is, and to do that clearly. But I think that's the primary job of a director. For the crew too, is like, you know that person has got the vision, and you can always rely on that, and everybody can feel that. I think beyond that, it just comes down to how you communicate with people, and I think everyone's different. And I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong way. There are some directors that don't give any notes, so you're like, am I doing okay? Like, do I need to do it different? And there are some people who give tons of notes, and that's also interesting, you know? And you're like, oh fuck, I got a lot to work with. I don't have necessarily a favorite kind of director. I think, if anything, I just like being a part of knowing them a part of the director's vision, and that they have a clear idea of where we're all headed. I think that's kind of it.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
You've worked with a lot of directors throughout your career. Is there any director you would wish to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Sure. I mean, if the Coen brothers were to do movies together again, I love the Coen brothers. I love their films. Oh man, Edgar Wright. I just love what he does. He's an incredibly meticulous filmmaker. I know people who have worked with him, and he's really specific, and I kind of love that too. To speak about like styles, that guy has a great deal of specificity, and I think that's cool. And I love his movies. I just think they're visually really smart. They're rhythmically really interesting. Oh man, there's so many. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, is perhaps one of the great living directors. He's never failed. I think every single film is incredible. I don't have loads. I think, what's his name? Who directed Force Majeure and The Square. There's a great Swedish director, Triangle of Sadness, he directed as well. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm forgetting it. He's amazing. I don't know, there's so many incredible filmmakers I'd love to work with.
There's a scene, now speaking about directors, Return of the King, when you already, did the deed with the ring, and everybody's coming in the room and you're saying their names, but there's a theory that Frodo doesn't know Legolas' name because you're like, that dude. Was there like a direction from Peter for that scene, or did you actually record yourself like saying Legolas and they just didn't put it in the film?
I don't remember. I can tell you this. I feel like I would remember if it were like a specific intentional omission. You know? Like, isn't it weird that I'm not, I feel like I would remember, we're not gonna refer to him because you don't know his name. So no, beyond that, I don't remember. I mean, I remember shooting that scene. I remember everybody coming in. I remember Legolas being there. But I kind of love this narrative that somehow Frodo is like who the fuck is that? I think it's kind of great.
Thank you, dude.
But I actually think Frodo knows his name.
Hola Elijah, me encanta tu voz. I know that you said that you've come to San Juan. I don't know if you have the chance to see some of our island, but is there something or some place that you would say definitely belongs in Middle Earth other than food?
Right. So other than New Zealand?
Yeah, like stuff from here, Puerto
from
Rico,
here?
that you've seen.
Okay.
What you've seen from Puerto Rico
What I've
is-
seen here. Oh. Yeah, I mean, not on this trip, because I've only really been here. The first time I was here, we shot interior in some forest, and I feel like that was quite Middle-earthy. Yeah, for
Was
sure.
it in the rainforest?
It may have been. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Wood. My name is Eric, and my question to you is, should Activision and possibly Toys for Bob decide to develop a remake for The Legend of Spyro?
So, sure. I mean, the thing is
would you consider reprising your role as the titular character?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's really interesting. It's only been in the last couple of years at attending conventions and meeting y'all that I had any sense of the impact that those games had. I had no idea. I mean, I kept doing the voice. I never played the game. Truth be told, I know. I need to revisit it, clearly. But they really mean something to people, which is amazing. I really didn't understand the impact. So yeah, I mean, if Activision and if they were to maybe make a movie or something, yeah.
Thank you.
It'd be awesome.
One of the reasons I think we all adore you is that we feel like you're one of us. Like you are, a fellow geek, a fellow nerd.
I mean, I am.
I know. That's why we love you, right? And I have to ask you, have you ever gone to a convention like incognito in cosplay so people don't recognize you?
Yeah. At San Diego Comic-Con one year, I bought a Mike Myers mask and I just walked around with that. Because I had friends that I wanted to see in various booths. Like at the time, do you know Mondo? They make amazing movie posters. So at the time when Mondo was not owned by Funko, they had a booth there. So I'm friends with all those guys. And subsequently, my company and I have re-platformed all of the original Mondo people under a new company called Mutant. If nobody knows, check it out. They're amazing. But anyways, I wanted to visit those guys, and there were other booths that I wanted to see, and I just wanted to be on the floor because the floor is cool and there's so much stuff to see. So I got a mask. And I walked around, and I ended up running into Guillermo del Toro because Guillermo had a booth for Crimson Peak. It was really special with some props and stuff from the film. And I was looking at the props and there was this guy in a mask and I can't even remember what his mask was. And I was like, wait, is that? And it was Guillermo and he was wearing a mask too. And he was like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, it's me. We caught up for a second and put our masks back on. It's pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Okay. Thank you for being here. I think we all feel closer to Middle Earth, next to you.
Oh, thanks.
The echo is crazy. I'm so sorry. So my question is, talking about food, and also you are kind of a geek of music.
Yeah.
Is there any food or music from Puerto Rico that you're actually obsessed in or interested right now?
I don't know it well, is the thing. I don't know Puerto
We
Rican.
will send you stuff.
Yeah, see, I need to be educated. I need to be educated.
But you did try mofongo, right?
I did try mofongo, yes. mofongo's delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, we know you have your production companies, Vector Vision.
Yeah.
And there are some exciting projects coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about Rabbit Trap?
Yeah. Yeah, Rabbit Trap is this really wonderful sort of folk horror film that we premiered at Sundance, this last Sundance Film Festival, starring Rose McEwen and Dev Patel. Dev Patel is so amazing. And it's set in the 1970s in the Welsh countryside as Rose's character is an electronic musician, and Dev plays her husband, who's a field recordist. And they kind of happen upon some thing that they're not supposed to, record something they're not supposed to, kind of like in the old fairy tradition. And it starts to infiltrate their lives sort of through this young boy who may or may not be of this world. It's really special. Sound design is amazing. It's such a sonic picture. And has this really wonderful, rich sort of underbelly of kind of folk horror history. I love folk horror films. I think they're so interesting. The Wicker Man is one of my favorite films of all time. So it's sort of in that tradition, and it will hopefully come out sometime later this year, if not early next year. Yeah.
Hello. I collect quotes and ideas in a commonplace book for inspiration. Is there a line from a film or a show you've worked on, or just a piece of advice you've received that you find meaningful or inspiring?
Sure. I pulled this quote off of a Radiohead website from like the 90s or early 2000s. I think it's from Siddhartha. I could be wrong. But the quote is essentially, and I might get it wrong, but there's nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self. And I just love that. It's like, it's self-betterment. It's recognizing that you are an evolving thing, and our goals are not to be better than other people, but rather be the best person we can be. And I like that. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Hi. Ed.
We can hear you.
All right, so hi again. My name is Miguel. Was it difficult to play a villain in Sin City?
It was really fun. The challenge of Kevin was maybe the physicality. Like, I think I only really knew with relative short lead time that I was going to be on wires jumping around doing like martial art wire movement that I'd never done before. And I think there was no rehearsal period really for it, if I remember correctly. But I was so game and it sounded awesome. For me, the joy of getting to play Kevin was I had read all of the comics not long before having dinner with Robert Rodriguez in LA, prior to any announcement of Sin City happening. So Robert and I and our friend George were having dinner. And Robert was we were talking about what each other were up to, and he was like, oh, my next thing is Sin City. And I was like, wait, what? And in my head, I had literally just finished reading them and was dreaming up how incredible it would be to adapt them primarily in animation form. Because it just feels like Frank Miller's drawings are so specific, how could that ever be adapted in a way that would do it justice? And so we were talking about that, and he's like, dude, do you want to see? I've got the opening of the movie in my car. I was like, what? And I went out to the parking lot, and on his laptop, he had that first scene with Josh Hartnett on the sort of veranda that opens the movie. It was done, and he had done that as a proof of concept partially for Frank and with Frank, but also for Dimension to show, like, we can do this. So it was really a way to get the movie jump-started and funded. And so I saw that he had made it, and it came to life, and I couldn't believe it. And I think over dinner, George was like, you should be Kevin. And I was like, yeah, it'd be cool. But, you know, whatever. And then Robert was like, do you want to audition for me? You can just come to the Four Seasons and I'll just shoot you, like, staring at the camera. Because he doesn't talk, you know? And so for me, it was such a joy because I knew the graphic novel so well. I was a real fan of Frank Miller's. And the cool thing about the making of that movie was that each of the frames of the comic book were essentially the storyboards for the movie. So Robert would be like, we're doing that frame next. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what that is. So it's so helpful and so informative, and it was like, oh, cool, we're gonna do that. And I'd never had an experience like that before. It was so fun. And I'm running around, like, doing high kicks. It was great. Mickey Rourke, unfortunately, wasn't there, so I didn't get to meet Mickey until the premiere. He'd already shot all of his stuff, so I was working with his stunt double. It's the thing about working against green screen. Like, they didn't, you know, there was I think one set, the bar, was I think maybe one or two of the sets that they built. Everything else was on green screen. But, you know, Frank Miller was on set, co-directing, coming up with new shot ideas. Like, it was so cool. It was so cool.
Well, Elijah, we've run out of time, but I really want to thank you for being here, sharing this time with us. And I really want you to know that we, the fans of Puerto Rico, just love you to death. You are a very special part of our hearts, and thank you for being here.